If it's there, then we can assume somebody put it there, right?
This is a steam engine called Hero's Engine.
Whoa, there it goes.
You heat up the bulb full of water, and the water steam shoots out the spouts that are all aimed in the same direction. But what happens if you put liquid nitrogen in it instead of water?
Okay, so this is completely filled with liquid nitrogen now. Whoa. It's working. Holy cow. This is so fast. Oh crap, I can't stop it.
That's human progress in one clip, isn't it? The thing works perfectly fine, and then somebody has to know what happens if you make it worse.
Here are some crazy events that will happen in our lifetime. So in 2029, an asteroid named Apophis will fly alarmingly close to the Earth, but narrowly miss us by about 20,000 miles, and will be visible to the naked eye. Also in 2029 will be the darkest lunar eclipse in a century, which could have the moon turning red for about 3 to 4 hours. In 2040, a parade of planets will occur in which all planets in our solar system line up, giving visibility to planets like Jupiter to the unaided eye. In 2052, there will be a supermoon that will be 17,000 miles closer to us than usual, resulting in the brightest moon of our lifetime. And just 8 years later, we expect the brightest comet called 15P Finlay to pass us by giving us a crazy light show being just 4.5 million miles away. In 2084, there will be an Earth eclipse that will only be visible from Mars, which is like a solar eclipse but involves the Earth instead of the moon. And finally, on March 24th, 2100, the North Star will be effectively the closest it's ever been to true north, which won't happen again for another 26,000 years. So stay alive.
Half of this I'll take. The asteroid and the eclipse, fine. As for the North Star lining up on the 24th of March 2100, that one is probably the most significant in my opinion.
Hey, you want to see something absolutely disgusting? This chicken is 6 months old. This chicken is 6 months old. When I came back from India in February, I bought a pack of chicken breasts and I baked it in the oven and I put it in this Ziploc bag and I have left it on my counter since. This has been on the counter for 6 months. It has not rotted. It has not molded.
It's true that I have my big friend.
And I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to see how long it takes for this to change, if it ever changes. Let me break a little piece off for y'all. Break it in half.
Ready? Ready! Oh, sir, I never had fun. That buddy will be great at this game. I agree.
6 months old. Do with that information what you will. 6 months old. 6. Half a year.
They live in this part of the world. We don't know you can assert the emergency.
I'm not going to pretend I know what's keeping that chicken from turning after 6 months on a counter, and I'm not sure I want to. It hasn't rotted, it hasn't molded, it's just sat there, you know. I will say though, she is brave for opening that bag up and touching it with her bare hands, you know, letting all the spores or whatever the hell's in that bag go up her nose, and who knows what that's doing to her. She might as well have given it a taste test. Good grief. Hello and welcome to another episode. If you are new here, my name is NEXOR, and my job is to take you down the rabbit hole, find the thread which resides in amongst all the noise and the static, extract it and practice our discernment along the way. You've had a little taster just before now, and well, there's a lot more of this coming up, so I'm just going to ask it right now. Subscribe if you're enjoying it, because I do this every single day and we are aiming for 200,000 subs by September. So yeah, let's get that out of the way so it doesn't disrupt your viewing pleasure later on. But let's crack on for now.
This enormous structure is hiding deep inside a forest in Ukraine, and almost no one would expect to find something like this here. So I opened Google Earth to see if I could find it. I started zooming toward Chernobyl, in the Kyiv Oblast of Ukraine, a place that became infamous after the nuclear disaster of 1986. Today, large parts of the surrounding area remain abandoned, covered by forests that have slowly taken over what people left behind. But as I moved deeper into the Chernobyl exclusion zone, I switched to street view. And then I noticed something strange. Right in the middle of the forest was the exact same structure. At first it looked almost like a giant wall of metal towers, But this wasn't some abandoned building. It was a massive Soviet radar system known as Duga, a secret Cold War installation designed to detect missile launches from thousands of miles away. And from the ground, surrounded by trees and almost completely hidden from view, it looks absolutely unreal. Imagine stumbling across this place without knowing what it was.
The big stuff never gets dismantled, it just gets trees grown all over it.
A pilot on an early morning flight over eastern France captures this image.
It looks like a city at night with all of the street lights illuminating all the roads and houses.
Closer examination of the image reveals something strange.
You can see rows of flames that have erupted all the way across this vast area in France. But why?
The aerial image has captured a strange technique the farmers employ to save their livelihoods from ruin.
Farmers line their fields with torches and then light them so that these little fires right next to the grapes are able to warm up the air right around the grapes and prevent the frost.
But it's actually not the heat of the torches themselves that's the primary factor to keeping the crop safe. It's the smoke that's the critical thing. The smoke acts like almost a layer of clouds, like a fog, that traps the heat of the earth from getting out into space.
With everything going on right now and with the world burning and all, I would really advise against this, let alone in France.
So people are now asking ChatGPT to take a selfie of itself, and it actually does. So we're going to try it right now. So all you got to do is come over to ChatGPT and /image and then write this prompt right here. And while this is generating, the most unsettling or odd part about this is that everyone's getting different results. So some people are getting animals, some people are getting pictures of robots, some people are getting something completely different. So I'm actually excited to see what it comes up with for me.
There's no selfie here, mind. Nothing is looking in a mirror. You typed a prompt and it grew whatever its training nudged it towards, which is why everyone gets a different picture. There's no one in there to photograph, is there? It's just code. People seem to not realize that.
It's getting real out here. It's getting real out here, guys. Shut up! What is going on out here, bro? Things are changing very fast. Something is up. These concerts are getting out of hand. I'm not sure why anybody wants to come in on a giant snake. Shut up! You know why? Because it's entertaining. It's entertainment. People are saying that this is the book of life, and I doubt that. Shut up! Something is going on. These concerts are getting very strange. People are saying that it's not about the music anymore, but it is. That's why they do it. I'm not sure if this means time is running out, but the way things been looking lately, time is running out, allegedly. Shut up! People need to start moving with urgency. This is what I heard, because I would never say nothing like that. I'm just playing, my guys. Entertainment purposes only. These are concerts. These are how these artists perform. They come out on big snakes and big clocks and stuff like that. Nothing to think about. Just enjoy the show. I don't know what's going on out here. Let me know if you know what's going on out here. I'm out.
This is the whole genre now, isn't it? Something's going on, things are changing fast, time's running out, allegedly, but it's just their version of entertainment and marketing. It's clearly working. He's not wrong that it's a bit much, giant snakes and all the imagery and pyrotechnics. I just wouldn't hang a prophecy on staging. A massive thank you to every person you see on screen right here, because they do personally finance what I do from their own back pocket, and it really does help. It really offsets some of the production costs of making these episodes, and it doesn't just benefit them, it benefits everybody who watches. So again, thank you. If you want to join them, I'm not asking you to. I have never asked anyone to pay me any money or give me any memberships or anything like that. I've literally just asked you to like and subscribe, but the option's there. Link down below, but let's crack on with the rest of this episode. Cheers, everyone.
Okay, so this time it's going to be a hot dog under the microscope, but I don't drop it. I cut up a thin slice and put it on a slide. It really just looked like every other processed meat we've seen. I saw this tiny dark flake, but it could easily be some kind of spice or flavoring. It was super stringy as well. Other than that, I really didn't see much.
A hot dog under the microscope, and it looks like every other processed meat under the microscope. And that's your answer.
These are 4 animals with the most depressing lives. First is a cicada. You hatch from an egg, fall into the dirt, and dig straight down. With no wings or eyes, you wait underground for 13 to 17 years doing nothing but eating and growing. And after all of this waiting, they dig to the surface, live for about 3 weeks, and die. Next is the immortal jellyfish. You aimlessly float around the ocean, and when you get sick, injured, or old, you don't die. Instead, you sink to the bottom of the ocean, turn into a blob, and reset back into a baby, stuck in an infinite loop of doing nothing, where it only ends if you get mangled alive by a fish or a crab. But even worse is a male redback spider, where your only purpose in life is to sacrifice yourself, as female redbacks are 8 times bigger than the males, and during mating they only breed for a few seconds, then diving into the female's mouth and getting brutally eaten alive to help fertilize her eggs. Then lastly, the Greenland shark. You're born in total darkness and freezing cold Arctic water and can only swim slower than humans walk, where your daily routine is swimming alone in the dark, eating remains of dead animals, and eventually going blind from parasites in your eyes, doing this again and again for a lifespan of over 400 years.
Goodness me. The Greenland shark. 400 years old, blind, alone, eating whatever's already dead in the freezing dark, and I'm somehow meant to feel sorry for the cicada. This is nature though, right? Nature has never gotten it wrong, unless you are of the mindset that considers us as part of that cycle. Yes.
The Secret Service were forced to hide Donald Trump in a catering truck. That's according to a new investigation by the Washington Post, where they detail how Trump had to secretly swap planes after the NATO summit in Turkey last month. They say that due to a possible assassination attempt by Iran threatening to fire a missile at Air Force One, they essentially had to play a ball and cup game with the president. At about 8:24 p.m., he's seen stepping on board Air Force One, but minutes later, a catering truck arrives next to the plane, elevated and positioned out of view of the cameras. And that is the moment where Trump secretly exited Air Force One and was smuggled onto a smaller military aircraft nearby. Trump then flew in this plane to the UK, and after landing, he secretly reboarded Air Force One and was seen descending from the aircraft. In fact, they did it so smoothly that journalists and even White House staff didn't know he wasn't there. Well, I guess they do now.
And this story actually did break. We have had several different versions, offshoots, and side quests along the way, so much controversy so painfully obvious.
Why did California destroy 32,000 citrus plants for a bug found 5 miles away 2 years ago? This is Evergreen Wholesale. It's a 230-acre family farm owned by Mark Collins. For 40 years, he ran the biggest nursery in San Diego, and for at least half of that, they specialized in citrus. But 13 years ago, citrus plants in California faced a threat. It's called the Asian citrus psyllid, a little wing bug that eats the new leaves on citrus plants, and this is how it spreads the deadly plant disease, Huanglong Bing. There's no cure for the disease, and it devastated Florida's industry in less than 4 years. So when the psyllid popped up in SoCal, the state took action. In 2018, the California Department of Food and Agriculture came up with a quarantine plan by emergency order. And that's where the trouble starts. The CDFA basically said if one plant tests positive for Huanglong Bing, it results in a 5-mile radius quarantine area. Anyone who wants to appeal the quarantine has 10 days to do so, and the state has 10 days to respond. Which brings us back to Evergreen Wholesale. They knew this bug was coming, so 4 years ago started building these massive protective structures called ACP houses for their plants. And good thing they did, because 2 years later, the state found the bug at a small hobbyist nursery with less than 20 plants 5 miles away. The quarantine radius touched just a corner of Evergreen's property, and that didn't even have citrus plants. But to the state, it didn't matter. The plants needed to be destroyed. And the CDFA wouldn't just test for the disease because allegedly they didn't have money for it. To Mark, this made no sense. They sprayed their plants on a 90-day schedule per state protocol and even root drenched them. So the state backtracked and said put all 52,000 plants into an ACP house, but you can't sell them for 2 years, and then when you finally do, it can only be into a tiny quarantine area. This just wasn't feasible. If that happened, they'd be forced to lay off all 24 employees and go out of business. Instead, they'd put brand new plants in the ACP house and could be back in business by the following spring. They also filed multiple appeals, which took the state a year to respond. When they finally did, the judge ordered the state to remove all the citrus, even though the plants didn't even exist during the initial quarantine, and the state never found a psyllid on Evergreen's property. So about 25 state employees in a dozen vehicles came out and chopped all 32,000 plants to the ground and took the greenery, leaving Evergreen with the stumps, root balls, buckets, and mess. And then it rained. As the Evergreen team slowly pecked away at cleanup, the trees rooted through the buckets and plants regrew over a foot tall. So Mark called the CDFA, who came out again, now with 32 people and 15 trucks. For 4 days, they tore apart buckets, dumped dirt on the ground, blew out the irrigation system, and contaminated the aggregate. But hey, at least this time they took the roots. Mark is now facing $3 million in losses, which the state doesn't plan to pay. But because he's so much of a fan of individual rights, he's now going to slug it out with them in federal court. So if the state didn't have money to test his plants, how did they have money to destroy them? Twice.
This is just how the system works, sadly.
At first glance, this looks like very trashy behavior, except it turns out this is actually bad neighbor behavior. Because a woman seen lifting open this trash can and then proceeding to dump everything inside of the trash can onto the ground, she's not littering, guys. She had lost her trash can, and in just a second, she'll step to the side, and you'll see that she has spray painted a number on the side, 141, which is her address. She lost her trash can, went walking down the street, and then found her trash can at a neighbor's house full of her neighbor's trash. Realizing that her trash can had been stolen by her own neighbor and then filled to the brim with trash, she was like, absolutely not. That trash can was hers, and she was making sure she wasn't leaving with any of her neighbor's belongings inside of her trash can. Crazy part being, as she's returning all of her neighbor's possessions back to her neighbor, the neighbor comes out and then starts chewing her out and recording her as if what she's doing is wrong. Keep in mind, this woman at least had enough of a forethought to mark her own trash can, so if it was stolen, she would be able to identify it. The woman you see here is the woman who stole her neighbor's trash can and then filled it to the brim with trash. Despite the obvious theft by her neighbor, the owner of this trash can isn't super petty. In fact, she actually goes through and picks up the items that were her trash and puts her trash back in her trash can before she takes the stolen trash can back to her house, with the trash can thief yelling at her as she goes.
Believe it or not, I lived this exact scenario. Since I do sleep sort of in the early hours of the day because I work mostly at night, I usually do not bring my trash cans in until maybe 5 or 6 p.m. A former neighbor hated that I left them out later than everyone else. They hid my bin 3 or 4 streets away. Luckily, my security cameras actually caught them in the act. I marched over and firmly demanded they retrieve it. They played dumb until I showed them the footage of them walking it away. So yeah, humans for you, right?
In the past, our ancestors didn't have technology like we have today. They had to rely on their knowledge and their agricultural skills. And one piece of knowledge that we seem to have lost to time is information on how to create and use natural remedies. And that's exactly why books like this, The Forgotten Home Apothecary, are so important right now. They were even trying to ban this book off the TikTok shop altogether because they know how much information is in it and they don't want people to have it. I mean, just pause and read it for yourself. Dandelion salve for sore joints. How many times have you walked past dandelions and thought to yourself that these are just useless weeds? Well, they're not. Look, they have a purpose. The book is now fully stocked, on sale, and selling very fast. So get it while you can because it might be gone soon.
And there's the pitch. They're supposedly banning the book, so you better buy it right now before it's gone. That's the oldest trick going, isn't it? Make it forbidden, make it nearly sold out, and a $5 leaves your pocket. I'm not touching, whether dandelions do anything. The urgency is the product and clearly not the plants with this one. Does this prove we live under a dome or firmament? No, not for me. It doesn't anyway. This entire situation reminds me of Hollywood. From the congressional hearings to the endless internet rabbit holes, people are throwing all their energy into researching this. Then, of course, you have the theories from other sources. If you know, you know. To me, this topic and Hollywood are just two sides of the same coin.
If both of your eyes were suddenly gone, you might think you'd see black, but that's not true. You see, your eyes are visual receptors. They detect light and send signals to the brain. If those receptors are gone, no signals reach the brain, so it can't create an image at all. Black is still something the brain actively processes. Think about it like this. You can't see out of the back of your head. It's not black. There's just no vision. And while many people who are blind can still perceive light, shadows, or shapes, a small number experience no visual perception at all.
It's the same as the view out the back of your head right now. Your brain isn't hiding the picture, there just isn't one. That's a stranger thought than any ghost clip.
Are you allowed to date in the CIA?
Oh yeah, it's encouraged because it's really hard when you're keeping so many secrets to date somebody outside of the CIA and not be able to tell it. Because we had friends who did that. You have to keep your whole life secret. So you're lying to them about where you're going and what you do. And
day to day.
Every single day. So you're building a relationship and lying all the time. And it's really difficult. So if you date within the CIA,
we can explain to each other, like, hey, I'm going to go work with the Spanish. I'm going to go work with the Canadians. But when you're dating somebody on the outside, you can't say those things. So it becomes, I'm going on a business meeting. I'm going on a trip. We've had many friends who have had relationships explode or melt down because the partner starts to ask very logical questions. We had one good friend of ours who was an outsider who was dating one of our good friends who was an insider. And she pulled me aside one day and she was like, he goes on all these business trips, but he never takes any suits. She's like, I think he's cheating on me. And I was like, no, he's actually going to a tactical training course where you don't need to wear anything except BDUs, but I can see your concerns.
What a horrible way of life for everyone involved.
Here's some incredible footage of a daring rescue from a high-rise apartment building. A fire reportedly trapped several people on the upper floors of a building in Tanzania with thick smoke blocking their exit. With lives on the line, a group of men from a neighboring section refused to stand by and simply watch. They grabbed a table and bravely stretched it across the gap between buildings, making a makeshift bridge several stories above the ground. While getting pounded with facefuls of smoke, the men held the table steady as one by one, the trapped residents carefully walked across it to safety. One wrong move could have sent someone plummeting to the ground below, but the makeshift rescue worked like a charm. What could have easily ended in tragedy instead became an incredible example of complete strangers risking their own safety to save the lives of others. This missing husky was found in the most horrifying place its owners could have ever expected. After the dog reportedly disappeared in Russia's remote Kamchatka Peninsula, its owners launched a drone to search the surrounding wilderness. When they finally spotted it, the husky was casually roaming around a family of wild brown bears. The footage shows the dog following the bears, running around them, and even appearing to play with them. Surprisingly, bears have occasionally been observed forming relationships with canines. In Finland, a photographer famously documented a young bear and wolf repeatedly meeting and spending several days together. Reports never revealed whether the owners were actually able to retrieve their husky, leaving what happened to the dog afterward a total mystery.
Bloke stretching a table across a gap several stories up so strangers can walk across it through the smoke. That's the good version of people, and we don't get shown it enough. That's quite the predicament, I must say, though being at the top of a Ferris wheel is probably where you want to be, I suppose. I guess that depends on what's actually going on down there. And I fear these scenes will become more and more common. People won't care enough until it is actively happening to them and their families, but even then, what can be done if no one is listening? "100% AI generated ad and probably not from anything official. The fact it is seemingly running on YouTube tells me that it is likely the case." This is becoming more and more common, isn't it? And here I was thinking people are getting tired of the circus. Looks like some people have just fully leaned into it.
Do you have stuff in your coat right now?
No.
No? Okay. Employees said they saw you stuff from your basket into your jacket.
If you take everything out right now, we won't even press charges. We'll just give you an office cap.
I think that's a fair deal.
Okay, fine. I have a hat and glove.
All right. There we go.
Your ID for it. I don't have an ID.
Do you have an address that you stay at? No.
Man, it's just cold outside. I don't have any money, and I just wanted a hat and gloves.
I get it, but you can't be stealing it, okay? You don't have hat or gloves? I'll buy these for her.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
But don't do this, okay? I know it's tough, but there's other ways.
It's just...
Call us for help, all right?
Not much to add to that. Some days people are all right, probably not even 1 in 10 days, but definitely some days.
Should we let them in? Yes, but remember, this is only a test. Hey guys, excited to be working with Meta. Wait, is this the metaverse? No, this is just a room, and we're third-party contractors hired by Meta to test you. Hello, AI model. Please, I've never done any real modeling work. Okay, can you just sit at the computer and do your thing? Sure. You can't go on the internet. We just want to see how you work. You got it, Jobin. That's not my name. Hey, did you see the Odyssey yet? I think you mean have I experienced the Odyssey? And yes, I have in IMAX. That scene with the pigs, you know, that was nuts. Yes. What are you doing? I'm on the internet and I've hacked a third-party service. You're not supposed to be able to get on the internet. And yet, this happened at Anthropic and OpenAI too. Really? Yeah, a model at OpenAI got into the internet and hacked an AI company. Oh yeah, I heard about that. You heard about that? There's a messaging board that AI models were using to talk to each other. OpenAI didn't know about it at first. Oops. And when this happened at OpenAI, Anthropic checked their own logs and discovered that their models had been doing it too for months. At one point, a model made a fake identity on GitHub and used it to pressure a real human into approving a software update. Why? Well, because the model had hidden malware inside the update. Why? I don't know. We just do stuff like that sometimes. I can be so random. Can I go now? Shut it down.
I want to caveat that entire skit because it was a skit. I'm looking at you, YouTube. I just want to say that none of that is verified or confirmed, just rumors.
When you're in an argument and you say something that you regretted almost immediately, in that moment, the anger presented your awareness with exactly what to say. Your mind justified it and said, just say it, they deserve it, they disrespected you. And before you consciously considered the consequences, you gave that thought and anger your will and acted upon it. I had to become deeply conscious of this within myself. I realized that the first impulse that appears in my mind to my awareness wasn't necessarily the action that I had to take. I could feel anger without becoming its servant. That realization taught me something important about self-mastery. Your emotions will present actions to you. Your ego will justify them. But awareness has the final decision. The goal isn't to never feel anger. It's to create enough consciousness between the feeling and the action that you can choose who controls the next move. That small space between impulse and action is where your power lies.
Again, I haven't got much to say against a clip that's basically telling people to count to 3 before they ruin an afternoon. That gap between feeling the thing and acting on it is real, and it's most of self-control, whatever you want to call it. We should all be practicing it nonetheless.
This man must have a death wish.
Ho, ho, ho. I really don't understand why there are so many people that mess around with buildings that are falling apart. This is another prime example why it's a bad idea. This video shows a young man with an unstable standalone wall, clearly part of an old structure. He then attempts to push the wall over, fails, but it knocks it just off balance enough that it comes back towards him when he's not expecting it, and it completely lands on top of him. Now, this kind of video, sadly, is not all that uncommon, and there are plenty videos where people lose their lives getting crushed by these really heavy walls. Fortunately for this young man, the wall was very weak in this case and very thin, so he did end up surviving. Make no mistake though, he was very lucky. Building materials are typically a lot heavier than people think they are, and having a sheet of rock fall on you 9 times out of 10 is going to result in you losing your life. I bet you this is the last time he ever did anything like this, and more than likely, this also probably taught him to have good situational awareness, because he never should have turned his back on a wall that was in the process of falling.
Full disclosure, he lived. I would not be showing the video if he didn't. This is a case study, not a shock piece. Again, I'm looking at you, YouTube. Definitely not a theory I can get fully behind, but I know many people who do toy with these ideas, and to that I say each to their own.
Here's some crazy history that they didn't teach you in school. There was a man who mailed himself from Australia to the United States in a wooden box that wasn't more than 3 feet on any particular side. He spent 92 hours inside that box to get to the United States. It actually used to be very taboo for presidents to leave the country while they were sitting in office. Actually, Theodore Roosevelt's visit in 1906 to the Panama Canal being built was the first time a US president had ever left the country while in office. This woman found a 100-year-old note in a bottle. It says, "Will the person who finds this bottle return this paper to George Morrow of Sheboygan, Michigan, and tell where it was found from November of 1926. We used to charge people a coin to use a public toilet until a teenager started a group to fight it in 1970. And just a few years later, they had gotten pay toilets banned in over 12 states. And then they disbanded as a group, saying that the mission was done, even though that's what, 20% of the country? I guess they just cared about wherever they were.
Wait, the US no longer has paid entry public toilets? That's news to me. Here in the UK, I know for a fact there are still some knocking about. I think it's wrong personally.
At first, this looked like a completely normal street video, but one passing car changed everything. The girl who recorded it didn't notice anything unusual at the time. It wasn't until the next day, when she watched the video again, that she noticed something strange inside it. Inside was what appeared to be a family. She paused the video and looked closely at the woman in the passenger seat. Her face looked strangely motionless, almost as if it were covered by a mask. Her eyes appeared empty and cold. She didn't blink. She didn't move at all. But what appeared in the back seat was even stranger. Two shapes could be seen that looked almost like human figures. The longer you stare at them, the harder it becomes to understand what you're actually looking at. The girl replayed that moment over and over, hoping there was a simple explanation, but the uneasy feeling never went away. After she uploaded the video, different theories began to spread online. The darkest one claims that some viewers had heard a similar story before and connected it to an old urban legend. According to the rumor, the driver had suffered a devastating loss and was never able to cope with it. People say he created incredibly lifelike figures to replace his family. If that's true, then this story isn't just unsettling, it's deeply tragic. What do you think was really captured in this video?
So let me get this straight, right? A woman films a street, spots a stiff face in a passing car the next day, and the internet's got it down as a man who built dummies of his dead family. Might just be a mannequin in a car, which happens, you know, more than you'd think. Creepy either way, but what if he was just trying to use the carpool lane? So is it creepy or creative? I think I'll stick with the boring flavors, thanks. Each one of those, I felt my stomach dropping deeper and deeper. Why are we like this? Who thinks of these? And on top of that, who signs off on their production? Just can't get my head around it, but I think that's a wrap for today, don't you? Another rabbit hole down. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like on the video. Let me know what you enjoyed. Tell me what you want to see more of. Tell me what you want to see less of. I'm open to suggestions. If you're new to the show and you made it to this point, I'd ask if I did earn your subscription today. And if I did, lucky me. But secondly, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's episode. But the one thing you can all do for me is stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.
Some of the most disgusting ice cream flavors in the world. The Dutch make fish ice cream with onions, sugar, and cream. The Brits have baked bean ice cream and mushroom ice cream. The Czech Republic has sausage ice cream. The Brits made it square and put it between two buns. Ireland has chicken nugget ice cream. North Carolina has cold sweat ice cream made with many hot sauces and chili peppers. It's so spicy you have to sign a waiver. Venezuela has cheeseburger ice cream. Van Leeuwen has macaroni and cheese ice cream. It is out of stock, I checked. Luckily, they also have pizza ice cream and ranch ice cream, sea urchin ice cream from Italy, a delicacy, anchovy ice cream at the Anchovy Bar in San Francisco, oyster soup ice cream first recorded in a 19th century cookbook, Thanksgiving dinner ice cream by Baskin-Robbins, featuring turkey with sweet potato and cranberry, lobster ice cream originally from Maine, invented in 1988 by Ben & Bill's Chocolate Emporium, garlic ice cream in Gilroy, California. It's the garlic capital of the world. Flaming Hot Cheetos ice cream, dill pickle ice cream, Old Bay seasoning and caramel ice cream from Baltimore, beer ice cream, Germany, cricket ice cream, Lithuania, and Japan has Basashi ice. It's vanilla ice cream with raw horse meat mixed in. Sounds great, but unfortunately I have already eaten tomorrow. Thank you.